Right now we're ready to do our Ohio star blocks in lesson 3 of Learn to Quilt. For each of those blocks you're going to need one 4.5-inch square. You're going to need 4 3-inch squares of each of the fat quarters. You're also going to need 8 3-inch squares of the background. So 4 is going to go with one block, 4 is going to go with the other. The other fabric you're going to need is 8 2.5-inch squares from the background. 4 will go with one block, 4 will go with the other block. Now, the first thing you've got to do is make your half square triangles, and we've done this before, but with slightly different size before. So just a reminder, you take 2 of your 3-inch squares, okay, on the background 3-inch square, on the wrong side, you want to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner. You're going to put it right sides together with the 3-inch fat quarter, 3-inch square, and then you're going to sew a 1/4 inch on either side of that center line. Then we're going to cut it up the middle. That's going to give us 2 half square triangles. So you're going to do that with all 4 of the one set of your 3-inch fat quarter 3-inch square, sorry, and you're going to do it again with the other set. So remember, what you've got to do on all of your background squares first is draw that diagonal line on the wrong side, put them right sides together with all of your other 3-inch squares. So you'll be making a total of 8 of these, 4 in each colorway, and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on either side. So I'm going to go do that first. Okay, so I've made, I've sewn my 3-inch squares together for my half square triangle units. So I've done 4 with each of my colorways. And so if we just look at that a bit closer, you can see my diagonal line, and then I sewed a 1/4 inch on either side, which you can kind of see a bit better from the other side. And now each one of these, we're going to cut them up the middle. So let's just concentrate on one set here for now. And you just need to put your ruler on the diagonal line that you drew. Just cut those, all 4 of those up the middle. I'm just going to do that with 4. Obviously you're going to do it with the other set as well. It's going to give you a total of 8 half square triangles from that particular combination. So now these, when you press them, you want to press them before you square them up. And what I want you to do, you've got 8 of these in this colorway. I want you to press half of them so that the seam is going towards the fat quarter, and half of them so that the seam is going towards the background. Okay, so 4 are going to be pressed one way, 4 are going to be pressed the other way. Okay, so I'm going to do that with mine, and then we'll be ready to square them up. Okay, so I've now made my half square triangle. So again, I have 8 for one colorway, 8 for the other colorway. 4 of them I've pressed the seam to the fat quarter half of the square. 4 of them I've pressed them to the background half of the square. Same with the other colorway. I did pressed 4 one way, 4 the other way. Okay. So now we need to square these up. So these all need to measure 2.5 inches. So we've done this before. It's just previously we were squaring up to a different size. Today we're squaring up to 2.5 inches. But it's exactly the same way, same method we did before. You take your square ruler, put the diagonal of your square ruler on the diagonal of the 2 sides that separates the 2 sides of the 2 colors of your half square triangle. Cut first as little as you can get away with up the right hand side and the top for right-handed cutting. If you're doing left-handed cutting, what you would do is you would cut up the left side and the top with your ruler turned the other way. So that's the right hand side and the top cut. Then we can turn this. Now what we could do is put the 2.5 and the 2.5 along the 2 lines, 2 edges that we've just cut, keeping the diagonal along the center that separates the 2 colors, cut up the side and along the top. And then that's our first 2.5-inch square, half square triangle. So we're gonna do this with all 8 of the first colorway and then the other 8 of the second colorway. Remember, you can always, before you cut here and here, you can always just double check that that's 2.5 there and the fabric goes past there. That's my 2.5 there, the fabric goes past it. So I'm not gonna be short when I'm going to cut the second 2 sides. So again, up the side, along the top, turn it, find your 2.5 and your 2.5, get your diagonal, and then up the side and along the top. Okay, so do that with all of your half square triangles that you've made. Okay, so I finished trimming my my half square triangles. I'll put them here wrong side up here so you can see that 4 of this one I've pressed towards the dark, I pressed towards the light on the other 4, and same with the other set. Okay, so I'm going to take these away and flip them back over, and now I'm ready to sort of lay out the block for assembly. So if I take my 4.5-inch square, because that's going to go in the middle, and we've got our 2.5-inch background squares. I'm going to have one of those in each of the 4 corners. Okay, and then it's time for our half square triangle blocks. Now, as you look in your instructions, you'll see that there's a definite place for each of these half square triangles. Each of these ones where you've pressed it towards the fat quarter fabric, there's going to be one that's going to go there, the other one is going to go there, and we're going to have one there, and then we're going to have one there, like that. Okay, and then you're going to take your 4 that are pressed towards the background fabric, and one is going to go there, and then we're going to have one on the side here, one at the bottom here, and then one there. So that's essentially our block and the placement of your half square triangles. And you've got in your instructions, you've got sort of the arrows will show you, if it's not clear from the video, show you exactly how you want to place those. And then we're going to sort of put these together as 3 rows, okay? So that's pretty straightforward. You've got sort of 4 2.5-inch squares you're going to sew together. Same with the bottom row. Okay, your middle row, what you need to do first is sew those together and those 2 together, and then once you've sewn them together, you're going to sew one on either side of that middle square. So so let me do that first, and then we'll take it back and talk about how we press everything. Okay, so I've sewn my 3 rows together now. So I've got the top row of the 4, middle row, bottom row. So with these, what I did was I pressed the seams sort of on the outside edges. I pressed these seams out towards the 2.5-inch square, these in towards the middle 4.5-inch square, and this bottom row out towards the 2.5-inch square. And I think in your instructions I haven't told you what to do about these 2 seams. They don't really matter so much, but what I did was I pressed this top one to the left and this bottom one to the right. In the instructions I've told you to press that one up and to press that one down. Okay, so now what we're ready to do is to sew the 3 rows together. So we start, of course, with the top row, join it to the middle row, and what you'll see here is we've got a seam here to lock and pin, and we've got another seam here to lock and pin. And then what I would do at this point is, again, put one near the end just to make sure that they kind of, when you get to the end, that they both sort of meet at the same place. And I like to have one at the beginning as well. If you have any sort of fullness in the middle here, you can also put a pin. Sometimes having a pin near this bulk anyway just kind of helps you to sort of move it under the foot anyway. So I'm ready to sew that. So I'm going to sew that one on, and then I'm going to sew this other row onto the bottom of that middle row, and that'll be this block ready to press, and it'll be done. Okay, so we've sewn that together now, and so we sewed that seam and we sewed that seam. When you're pressing, what you do is you press these two long horizontal seams in towards the center of the block. So that's your first one. After you've made that first star block, you're gonna make a second one with the other set of half square triangles that you cut and the rest of the fabrics that you cut. Once you've got this one made and you make this one you're gonna make it exactly how you made the first one. The only difference is gonna be that last two joins that you do. With these ones, what you're gonna do is press the seams away from the center, okay? So we press these towards the center and those away from the center. And obviously the reason for that is because we're now going to join these two blocks together. We want all the seams that are going to meet each other going in the opposite direction. So right sides together again. We're going to take that first seam there. We're going to just slide them, lock them into each other and pin. We've got one in the middle here, and hopefully you'll find if you followed the pressing instructions, those should be going in the opposite direction as well. If not, just flip one. That's not the end of the world. And then again, we've got another seam there to lock and pin. And then as before, I like to put a pin near the end and another one near the beginning. Okay, and I'm gonna go sew this. Okay, so that's our two Ohio star blocks stitched together. So we pinned all those seams and we sewed that last vertical seam, and then that final press was just to the left, and that's it. And that's all the sewing that we need to do for this week.